Between 1880 and 1900, women labor grew from 2.6 million to 8.6 million. Poor families depended on children to work to help support their families. In 1890, 18% of labor force consisted of children ages 10 to 15. In 1890, 2/3 of Americans worked for wages rather than owning a farm or their own craft shop. Most of the workers were migrants, immigrants, children, and women. It was very difficult to hold factory owners accountable for deaths and injuries. Around the 1900s, there were 25,000 to 35,000 deaths and 1 million injuries per year because of industrial jobs. Many deaths happened on railroad jobs. Fires, machinery accidents, and train wrecks were very common. Many of the workers could not read safety regulations and instructions on machinery due to their poor English. U.S. cities grew by 15 million 2 decades before the 1900s. Sudden influx of poor immigrants led to the formation of slums in U.S. cities. The families would live in small one-room apartments together. Sometimes the families would have to share single bathrooms with other families. The houses and buildings were filthy, poorly ventilated, and hospitable for rats and diseases. During this time period, health conditions were poor. People would dump their waste in the streets, and because of small spaces, diseases were spread quickly. Filtered water was rare in these urban areas. New inventions skyrocketed in 1790 and 1860. The U.S. Patent Office granted 36,000 patents, but between 1861 to 1930, granted 1.5 million patents. The new invention of electricity replaced kerosene. Assembly lines replaced individual production in single machines. Cigarette-making machine patent produced 7,000 cigarettes per hour when workers were making 3,000 a day. Before, it took farmers 61 hours to produce 1 acre of wheat. In the 1900s, it took 3 hours and 19 minutes. Some examples of the new technology are elevators, street lighting, water, and sewage systems. The Democratic Party bribed state legislators to pass laws and increase the power of the city to tax, borrow, and spend. Leaders built public support by spending tax funds on charities, helping the poor, and the construction projects. The poor and those receiving jobs and construction contracts were expected to vote for those politicians in exchange for their help. When helping construction businesses, governors expected kickbacks from the inflated construction budgets as well as votes. Social Darwinism is the application to human society of the biological theories of evolution and natural selection advanced by Charles Darwin. English philosopher Herbert Spencer supported social Darwinism because it supported his hypothesis of social selection, which applied to an industrial society. Herbert Spencer states, "The world is a jungle in which the strong and the most fit would survive." Darwinism added scientific justification to what Americans already believed in because economic abundance, opportunity, and individual placement. Andrew Carnegie once said that unrestrained competition was simply natural selection at work, steadily improving the natural economy by weeding out the unfit. According to William Graham Sumner, millionaires were the product of social selection. Puritan work ethic. Puritans supported the superiority of those with power. Puritans stressed the value of hard work and that transported into colonial American society. In the Gilded Ages, ministers emphasized the godliness and league with the riches. They believed that possession of wealth carried with it social responsibility.